Hi, Scorpios. I am so excited to be sitting here with you, cozied um, up here in the Northern Hemisphere, and where I am, spring is taking a nice, slow descent into spring, and so I'm just cozy, and I'm very excited to talk with you all and just create a really soft space for this energy. That's my goal today. We need to have some soft space. And partially I say that because May is going to be revolutionary for fixed signs. It just is. Because of this big item. And if you follow astrology, this is one of the big things that's happening, which is that Uranus is moving from Aries into Taurus, another fixed sign, right? And your opposite sign of your seventh house. So Scorps, Uranus is a revolutionary energy. That's the whole idea behind Uranus, is he wants to get you moving. He wants that electricity to wake you up and revolutionize something, right? And in your opposite sign, that means you are getting revolutionized in your mirror, in the way that you reflect and relate. It's a pretty big thing. So I'm going to take one more sip, and then I'm going to talk about this note I have before I start shuffling. Because I'll be honest, you guys, I wrote this note down, and even I am not sure exactly what this means. So I'm giving it to you. It's just what I felt. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know where this is going to take you. I'm not sure what's happening there, but let's see what the note is. There we are. I had Sagittarius's note, and I was like, oh no. Okay. A new era in the way you relate. A new way of using your analytical skills to shift your life. When your mirror is getting revolutionized and electrified, this is a really great time to also revolutionize the way you do things. The way we make sense of reality in this world is we need to see something, to gauge distance. We need various points of reference, right? So there's something very poetic about Uranus hanging out for the next 7 or 8 years with your opposite sign. So let me talk a little bit about these main placements. I'm really curious to see what the cards are going to bring us, my Scorpio family. I feel really positive about you guys, actually. I feel like you guys are pretty solid right now. I know, as usual, being a Scorpio, it's always a deep experience. It's never really going to stop. So I don't worry about you too much, just because I know you can handle the fact that things are always kind of shifting and moving. And I do feel a positivity with you guys. I mean, you have some really good energies on your side. You have Jupiter hanging with you, which I know is an intense thing to adjust to, but you've got many more months of that. Saturn is in a nice sextile to you all, so that's really nice. But okay, let's look at this. Taurus, a lot of energy is going to be in Taurus at the beginning of this month. We have Mercury in Taurus starting on the 13th. We have a new moon in Taurus on the 15th, and that's the same day that Uranus is going to head on over to Taurus. Mars is going to have a little bit of time here in Aquarius, which for you is your 4th house, right? Yeah, your 4th house of your home and your family. So, you might be feeling some really strong motivation to shift things up in your internal space, where you live. Let's see. And then we have, Gemini starts. Gemini season starts on the 21st. That's your 8th house, which actually you guys are the 8th house sign. You are the sign of death and transformation. We all know this. I'm not saying anything revolutionary there, but it's interesting. It makes so much sense. It makes so much sense that Gemini would be your 8th house, especially if you're Scorpio rising, because Gemini is this thinker, likes to analyze, likes to think things through. And that being your 8th house, it's like that air energy of analyzing really brings up that inquisitive nature you guys have. And then finally we have a full moon in Sagittarius, and that is energy of, your money and your possessions, highlighting that. So it's like there's a calibration here going on, Scorps, between your internal and your external. you know, yourself and other. All those oppositions are really getting tugged at for you right now, this month, the way that it's lining up. And I just feel like the thing that I keep getting when I look at all these placements and I'm talking about this note that I have and I'm thinking about the poetry of your 7th house getting electrified by the revolutionary planet for a number of years coming up here. It's a new era. And what I feel like is you guys are just that inquisitive nature you have that is so gorgeous and so much fun. And it's so much fun to have conversations with you guys, is going to hit new heights. It's going to be a really useful tool for you, where sometimes I think that detective part of yourself can almost feel like a liability, you know, like, because you guys are a little too smart. You're a little too smart about what you see, what you perceive. And a lot of times that does feel like a liability, like the Lord song. And I know I said that song really reminded me of you guys, and I'm pretty sure she's a Scorpio. I'm almost certain she's a Scorpio. If you've never heard the Lord song Liability, sometimes I think, you know, you guys think of yourselves as liabilities, you know, but there's something about the way this placement is coming up that suggests to me that where you thought that was a liability, it's actually becoming something that you can utilize. And I know a lot of you already feel that way about it, but it's kind of one of those double-edged swords, right? And I'm just turning these cards over, and you guys, I was right. I felt really good about Scorps this month. I was like, oh, Scorpio is one of the signs I don't need to really worry about too much. The energy is really supportive of you for whatever. It's just there. And I'm looking at these cards, and I was right. Look what we have here. Okay, I'm doing 3 sets of 3. And the first 3 cards, 10 of Cups, Knight of Swords, 4 of Wands. Wow. Wow. I am really happy to see this. And it's exactly what I was saying. You know, the Knight of Swords is kind of that person who will speak their mind and not overthink it, you know? And that can be a liability, right? But this can also be one of your greatest strengths. I think one of the things that's been coming up for Scorpios has been, and not for all of you, obviously, but a lot of you, it's been learning how to more easily express all the deep depths of yourself to those close to you. That's something that I think is hard for you, because a lot of Scorpios, when they're younger, they will try to express what they're feeling to those around them. And people will be like, oh, I don't want to know about that. You know, I mean, it's one of those sad things that our society is a little overwhelmed by that, right? So it tends to get suppressed, and then Scorpios have to learn how to just live with this depth and not share it. And then it's kind of like this whole life path to get back to a point where you feel you can just say it, and you can just be it, and you can just do it, and you can just use that natural nature that you have, which in some ways I feel like you guys are this energy, like that analytical ability to see and perceive. Even though you're not an air sign, you have that quickness. And then you feel slowly, right? But there's something about that quickness that's actually helping you to illuminate and expand this happy part of your life, this partnership part of your life. Now, this is fantastic. This is fantastic energy for those of you who are in a tough spot with your relationships, or you are excited to meet somebody, or you are wanting to get closer to somebody. This energy is showing up partially because we are in Taurus season, and Taurus season for you is your relationship energy. It's your opposite energy, and it really does support the connection with another, right? It does support romance for Scorpios. It does support a partnership, not even just romance, but partnership with others, those you are close to, right? So there's this warm energy. I know Venus is going to be hanging in Taurus, I'm pretty sure near the beginning of the month. She's going to be there too. So there's a lot of energy hanging in Taurus for you guys. And that's really great for you. So it's going to be shining a spotlight on that. Now, I'm not going to deny that with the Knight of Swords, there can be a rashness, right? But like I said, he's surrounded by positive energies. He's surrounded by energies that suggest to me that in speaking your truths, in speaking your heart, you're going to be proving to yourself and just showing to yourself that you can trust in these partnerships, right? That's so beautiful. Now, this is what's interesting though. this is what's interesting. And I do think here's where the mirroring can get tricky when we're in, when the sun is in our opposite energy. And, you know, we have this new moon in Taurus and Uranus in Taurus on the 15th, and it's kind of this crux day, you know, in the month for everybody. The energy is changing. There's a whole new play being written, right? And one of the things, since you guys are getting the mirror energy almost more than anybody else for this shift, so you guys are really special in this instance, one of the things you're going to be parsing out is where you feel freedom and where you feel entrapment. And I will show you what I'm talking about with the next 3 cards. We have the Lovers, Page of Wands, or Page of Swords, I'm sorry, and the Devil. Now what's really interesting, you notice how at the bottom of this reading we had the Knight of Swords in the middle? Now we have the Page of Swords. So once again, that inquisitive side of yourself that is can speak. You know, you guys are very eloquent. You're very good at you actually are very good at expressing yourselves. You just tend to hide like the 100 layers that are behind the good show, right? For some reason they're just coming up. Like, I just feel like you're able to condense a lot of what you need to say and say it. And it's just moving. Like, the words are just moving. There's a movement here. And I think it's partially because there is symbiotic energy moving with you in the world in this month. And it is kind of pushing you forward in its own interesting way. But so we have this Page of Swords, you know. It's kind of that youthful, it's another one of those rash energies, double-edged sword. Like, be careful with your words. One thing I will say, you know, I know you guys can, if you want to cut somebody, I know you can do it. I know you can. I have experienced this firsthand, and it's quite impressive. I love you guys. But be careful with your words. However, what I'm seeing here is there is a parsing out between what you consider free exchange of ideas, free exchange of love, free flowing of that connection, and entrapment, right? Obviously we have, you know, the Gemini card is Lovers, Capricorn here, and the Devil. These 2 energies, right? It's really interesting the way that those are showing up. And they do represent 2 different aspects of all of this. I mean, I feel like some of you, it's hard for you to parse between these 2. There's almost a sense that, I mean, they are just different mirrored facets of the same thing. I mean, the Lovers are chained up here and they are standing in the sunlight here. However, they're in the context of a world that demands certain things of us, right? And I know you guys are inquisitive. You like to critique what's going on in this world. You're not just going to settle for it being the way that it is and just say, oh, okay, you know, this is a relationship. And I'm getting kind of esoteric in my wanderings and my meanderings of this conversation right now. But I think it's because I'm thinking about some of you may feel that you are trapped in a cycle, or you have been in the past, and you're tired of it. You're tired of it. Maybe some of you are tired of the way relationships are supposed to be, or maybe some of you are tired of the way you've related to other people, or you've been treated. Some of you might be tired of a life pattern, you know? And that's why I'm saying this month is kind of pivotal for fixed signs specifically, because it, to me, feels like if the last 7 or so years have felt a certain way, where you've been learning certain lessons, this is the breaking point in a good way, right? But one thing you're going to be noticing, especially as we hit into Gemini season and we start getting into your 8th house energy, and as, you know, Mars goes into Aquarius, your 4th house of your internal space, your home, you're going to be doing some internal realizations about what freedom and entrapment means. And sometimes I think you might realize that certain concepts of that are flip-flopped in your mind. You might think that, yeah, it's really interesting. And I mean, I know you guys are fantastic, loyal partners, you know, and you're rocks. You know, you will stick through things and try your best, even if it's really hard on you. But that can trap you, right? That can trap you. So there's something about balancing there. Now the last 3 cards. The Hermit, Page of Wands, or Knight of Wands, I'm sorry. I can't find my words this afternoon. And the Queen of Cups. Earth, fire, water. Earth, fire, water. These are powerful. What was I saying about internalizing? Hermit energy is showing up a lot this month, I feel like. And it's because with a shift like this, energetically, just 2018 in general is just a very shifting year. It's a year where we're setting the stage for a lot of big transitions, and we're in the midst of them, and it's driving a lot of people to take a pause inside, right? You guys are good at this. You guys are good at diving into the deep. The Hermit really reminds me of that so much. How you're caring for yourself, but also how you're relating to self and other. There's something coming up for you here. You have all these great relationship cards, right? I mean, 4 of the cards in this reading out of the 9 are about relationships. Once again, not surprising with Taurus energy. It's going to bring up your mirror, and it's going to bring up where you want to adjust relationships. But there's also something going on, you know, with the full moon in Sagittarius and Gemini season. We are also shifting into, by the end of the month, we are shifting into a new place in your life as well. Not only is Uranus going to continue to ping at you with the mirroring, then we're starting to get into your other people's money and your own money, and how you're taking care of yourself, and how you are expanding or going underground. And there is a going underground here, right? There is a rebirth energy, which you guys are good at. What comes from this is an interesting combination. The Knight of Wands. So this is the third, in all 3 rows, we have had these more youthful, wild energies showing up. The ones that, you know, Knight of Swords, Page of Swords, Knight of Wands. These are all energies that are about diving into stuff without analyzing it, without thinking about it, without having to wait for the right time. They just see the opportunity. They think the thought and they go. They say it, they do it, right? And this is the action card, right? So what I'm getting here is there is an impatience, there is an eagerness, there is a readiness with the Scorpio energy to share of self and to dive into things. You're not wanting to waste time. I know you guys you actually have so much patience, you know, fixed sign energy. I know I have the Leo thing and I've got a lot of Scorp. It's like we can stick it out and we can like deal with it and deal with it. There is a snapping point where you just need the change. You need to dive in. You need to make the change. You need to say the thing you've been holding back. You need to connect with that person that, you know, doesn't know what you need, or you need to leave that job, honestly. I mean, it could also be stuff like that, right? There's a snapping that I'm getting with you guys. Like I said, I feel like anybody who's in your crosshairs a little bit, maybe they don't even know. Honestly, you guys are so good at hiding those deeper things that sting you that when they come out, a lot of times people are like, whoa, I had no idea. In fact, you might even be dealing with some of these people, right? You like these pages and knights could be people that are also getting at you. There could be some bantering. It's nothing too serious, but there's kind of this clearing of the air, right? You end with the Queen of Cups, though. And the Queen of Cups is, I think of Scorpios a lot with this card, just because it's the intuitive, right? It's being able to sit in the waters of the intuition and kind of float around in it and know. It's kind of coming back full circle. I feel like you're going through a little bit of an adventure, and you come back at the end of the month, and it's knowing that you did the right thing, right? It's knowing that you held to what was true for you. And that's the thing I'm getting with this, that there is this understanding that it's time and that you know exactly what you're doing. And that's pretty epic. One thing I will say with this energy, and I tend to say this, not all of this is going to unfold in May. This is like the initiating chapter of you making these changes over the course of the next season, right? summer or fall, wherever you are in the world, or summer or winter, sorry, opposites. Um, wherever you are, the next season is going to start to unfold these changes. This is just where you're getting the preview of it. You know, you're getting the downloads, you're getting the knowing, and you're starting to take the actions. You're starting to express what these things are to others in a way that I think you've been holding back for a while. You have been holding back saying what you've really needed or really wanted in your life to people who you're close to. And it has been building up and building up and building up, and I see a clarity and a crispness to this month that is beautiful. I'm going to stop right there. I love you guys, and I'm really proud of you, and I'm excited for you all coming up here. My calendar's kind of crazy this May, but I am going to do a handful of video recorded readings. So if you're interested in one of those, email me. I'm going to leave that info below. And also, I'm still booking, Skype and phone call appointments for late May, early June, and into June and onward. So please check that out as well. My website, my email, and my Instagram. Follow me on Instagram at @thesarahtarot. I have a lot of fun over there with you guys, and I love sharing I'll have inspiration for what's kind of going on energetically and share that with you all and what's going on in my world. So I love that. Also check out PinkLune. I am covered in amethyst today because it's just safe, lovely, wonderful, grounding energy. And she's such an amazing Taurus, speaking of Taurus season. So she's giving you guys 15% off. So check that out in the description box. I'm sending you all my love, my Scorpio detectives. You guys are amazing. I have such a deep connection with you, and I appreciate the heck out of you, and I'm so proud of you and how far you've come and everything that you have been going through and pushing forward into over these last couple of years. So I will talk to you guys in June, and I'm sending you all the best.